Hey everyone, my name's Amin. You may have seen me before. If you have, I'm sorry, I'm here again. And if you haven't, you should be happy. Today, talking about email. So again, thanks for Wayra for letting us come on and chat about email. For some context, as a marketer, I first cut my teeth with email. That was like my first channel that I cracked. And I mainly cracked it for eCommerce. And then let's say in the last couple of years or so, started cracking it for SaaS. And apps has sort of begun to become part of that journey for me. So I'm just going to talk to you about how I think about email and how I get to this 20 to 30% number, and how I kind of, whenever I look at a company and they're like asking for help in marketing, I'm always just like, okay, what's your email? Like, what's going on there? If it's not a top funnel problem, it's normally a conversion problem. So email is super valuable in getting new customers, nurturing existing customers, and then upselling existing customers. So that's like the three tangents I want to go down to today. So yeah, a bit of background on our story. My name is Aman, head of growth. Victor, our head of SEO, is on this call because I'm going to teach him a bit about email as well. And for context, we own a house of brands, CBD marketplace, which is Europe's largest. We have a candle brand native to Amazon. We have a couple of media sites, and then we work with a bunch of clients now across far too many sectors, and we have our own projects going on too. And this is just some examples of email success that I could find very quickly. They're mainly in eCom, but just for context, if you guys are in eCom as like a benchmark number, 30% of your revenue should be coming from email, or like email reported revenue. I try to get some benchmarks for the same thing for SaaS and apps, and they just don't exist. And everyone I spoke to that is like either a very good SaaS email marketer or app email marketer just can't give a number on it because it's so different. But in eCom generally is around 30%. And I've seen that across 8 stores I've personally worked with. And then there's like about 30 stores I have with other agency partners that all say the same number. After this call, I'm happy to do like a free email marketing audit and model with you guys. Whoever wants it, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to give like an incredibly quick email marketing whistle stop tour. So I want to get everyone up to like baseline level in the first, say, 10 minutes. And then I'm going to explain the eCom email marketing playbook and then show you how it translates into app and SaaS, and how to use the same learnings you have from email into app and SaaS. So to kick it off, maybe everyone could write in the chat. I don't have a poll, but who currently has email marketing set up well in their company? Could you maybe like write a yes in the chat? I see some smiles. If people can find the chat, it's like a bottom right corner. Yes, HubSpot, sweet, awesome. Ish, yeah. Ish makes sense. Okay, we can do a little bit better. A few people. Ish too, yeah, fair enough. Cool. So email marketing, in my eyes, and this is like what people talk about marketing. I always like marketing is like the right message to the right person at the right time. I think that perfectly describes email. Email is sending the right message to the right person at the right time. And there are 3 main words or like ideas that I want you guys to become accustomed to. The right message is just good copywriting and design. You don't even have to have design for emails. Completely honestly, it can be plain text, and you can just print a hell of a lot of money with plain text emails. But if you're like an aspirational based product, i.e. you're selling, let's say, fashion wear or a watch, you kind of need to be more into design. You're also sending the right message to the right person. So you need to be able to, in your email sending platform or in your setup, cut your customer segments into really interesting segments. So an interesting segment might be purchased in the last 90 days, didn't buy an upsell, has visited my website twice, hasn't left a review. If you can start to bring all these metrics together, you can like find this really interesting consumer archetype. And then the final point is you need to be able to message the right message at the right person at the right time. If you send people a email saying you need to buy a second bottle of, a second bottle of CBD oil, but you sent it 10 days after they purchased, when it takes 30 days to use a product, you've sent this way too early, and you wasted that email and you wasted a bit of trust. So right message, right person, right time. And the keywords are like segments and triggers. So triggers are like what you know is like there's an event that's happened that you can measure and you know it correlates to some sort of action. So this is basic email, let's say like the basic premise of it. And the final other premise is there's two types of email marketing. There's campaigns and flows. And so most of this presentation is going to be about flows, but just to like open it out there, your campaigns are your one-time things, your Black Friday sales, your new feature releases, your PR highlights. Like that can all happen. That can all make you a lot of money. But the thing that's really interesting for me personally is that you can still get 20% of your revenue just from flows. Like you literally build them, somewhat set and forget. I do encourage you go back in the flow and optimize. But if you've done the playbook before, you can kind of set and forget. So a customer onboarding flow or a welcome flow, an upsell flow, a retention flow, a review request flow, a churn prediction flow. And these flows can operate in any business. We recently implemented, as an agency, I have a review request flow, which is a very weird thing for an agency to have because I only have like 20 clients. I don't even play on volume level, but it just lets me know and remind me that, look, I need to be sending out these emails. I need to have a flow associated with things. I know eCom, I know one brand, well, we done it ourselves after I saw someone do it. But the second I purchased, I got an instant upsell email. So I purchased I think it was like a 6-pack of something. Let's say it was a 6-pack of beers on email. Purchased it and instantly got an email saying, do you want to get another 6 for 50% off? I'm like, well, wow, that's an amazing offer. I'll go for it. And that's a great idea of like an instant upsell. Like the second I made the purchase, they just got me with a bit more quantity. They gave away some margin, but all of that was technically just covering my CAC. And so I know they were printing so much more money on the profit line just because of that one email. So you can be really clever about these flows and how to use them. And so I'm going to show you an example of what right person, right time, right message means. So let's look at the left-hand side. This is a screenshot from Klaviyo, which is an e-commerce email marketing tool. And at the top of the diagram, it says trigger when someone started checkout. And it says on the left-hand side, and this is where it's interesting, the customer segment, people will enter this flow when they start checkout. And we have flow filters. So we even define that. Okay, yeah, you check checkout, but what can I know more about you? They place 0 orders since they started this flow. They place 0 orders in the last 5 days, and they have not been this flow in the last 16 hours. That's just me making sure I don't spam people, but that's how I really control that segment to ensure only the right person gets my message. Then the next piece was, okay, great. How do I get the trigger right? Which was the started checkout. But I also know, when do I want to send this email? I want to send an abandonment checkout 15 minutes after you. If you abandon your checkout, I know you're so close. I just need to give you a little push. And sometimes that little push can get me the sale. And then you can be really aggressive and then push again 3 hours later. So that's what the right time is, and just coming up with these ideas of what will that time be. In complete honesty, if you're the further, these times are guesses to some degree. I'm not going to say to you like 5 minutes is better than 15 minutes. It's just like my gut feel. And if you have enough data passing through the flow, yes, you can A/B test it. But in the grand scheme of things, most people don't have enough data passing through the flow. So you go off of intuition at the first bet. And the timing is something you kind of fix later on. As long as your trigger's right, the time delays are kind of irrelevant to some degree. And it's further you go down the bottom of the funnel, i.e. like to checkout stage, I will make the delay shorter and shorter. But if I'm higher up the funnel, like say a welcome series, I'm going to give them 5 or 6 days between my emails. I want to like slowly bring them in. Think of it like you're going on a date. You're not going to ask for whatever you want straight away. You kind of need to like edge it in a little bit. So this is kind of the same with email marketing. And then finally, right person, right time. You still need to have a good message. And this is an example of an email we did for a nappy brand. A little bit of fun copy, a nice little image, a button. Everything's above the fold. They don't even need to scroll if they don't want to. They can click a button straight away. And so this is an example of nailing right message, right time, right person. And the big whole goal here is to increase new revenue. And so there are ultimately 3 goals of email marketing. Everything kind of goes around these things. It's always about money in email marketing. You're nurturing you might be sending, nice brand building emails to nurture to make money. The end goal is always still money or revenue at the end of the day. So for example, I like put some like heuristic numbers down, and we can obviously run this with your own sort of brand, but say you want new revenue, subscribers that have not become customers. Say you got 10,000 people in your funnel. They don't buy from you, but they could have bought for whatever reason. Work out your old conversion rate, bump it up by a few percent. Don't be too aggressive. Do this from new revenue, from retention revenue, from upsell revenue. In most cases, you'll see that your revenue uplift is just ridiculous straight away without even trying to push your new conversion rate numbers that heavy. Like 10 to 15% is not much in the grand scheme of things. Retention, you can actually even go harder on retention, and upsell you can go harder too. But like that's like 64K revenue from maybe 15, 20 different emails you set up once and you forget it. So there's 3 ways to make money in email marketing: new revenue by activating new customers, retention revenue by nurturing existing customers, and expanded revenue by upselling customers. So find out where your customers fit, where's the lever you can pull, run a really quick model here. And if you see 35K in your new customers, you damn well spend like 10 hours making some great emails and just print some money out of that next month. Cool. So that is like the whistle stop tool without like spending too much energy into it. So right message, right person, right time. Use flows first, get them set up, get them running. And think of always using this methodology to make sure you're getting the right types of emails going out. And when you're deciding which flows to do, which we'll go into in a bit, always try to model it out very briefly, very quickly, just so you know where you want to spend your effort. Do you want to spend it on new revenue, on retention revenue, or upsell revenue? Usually, upsell revenue is the smallest in value, but it's the highest in profit. So this is because this is a customer that's already been acquired. So you're not having to pay a CAC anymore. So this is 13K profit. That's really attractive. That 35K, that not necessarily be profit because you're still having to pay for the customer at that point in time. So upsell revenue is much more profitable, but the top line number moves better with new revenue. Cool. So let me go through the eCom flow playbook. This is an example of like a rough flow. This is like a very basic one where I've actually excluded a lot of the interesting or like different segments. So let's think about it. So we're on Klaviyo, which is like the #1 player in the space. And you have an email subscriber come in. And the first thing the email subscriber gets is a welcome series. They get 7 emails and they're normally educating about the brand. Then include messages from the founders, and we're trying to nurture them towards a purchase. So I'm going to show you an example now of an interesting welcome series. So I'm going to show it to you for a brand that's not really running right now. I don't reveal their revenue numbers. So let me open that up for you 1 second. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. Klaviyo's decided to stop to work. Okay, so I'm going to look at a nappy brand now because that's the one that's working for me. And I'm going to show you without any analytics how they run. So the nappy brand's quite interesting. They're a little bit different where they have this master list where all their emails come into this master list. That's like when someone subscribes, they're getting an email. And they have a bunch of flow filters in here. So they want to make sure that you can only be in this email if you've never placed an order. So say you start this flow and you place an order, you jump out the flow. You no longer exist anymore. You don't deserve these. You don't need to get these emails. And these like additional bits are because they have lots of affiliate relationships. They get lots of different emails from different places. So the first email starts off with, hopefully it views. Well, when you join the team, just for 10% off, use my 10% off. So again, if you notice this email, we're starting off heavy. There's just the button and the offer. That's what you'd see on the scroll. And that's everything you technically need for this email. So if someone wants to make the purchase, they can just click and go. We want to make sure that everything they need is above the fold and everything below is brand building. So Mum and you are quite strong in the belief that they want their kids and their babies to look fun and they're not perfect. So there's a little bit of fun going on here. Some commentary, join the fam. And then we have some cross sells over here, introducing them to new options. We're trying to introduce the new website browser to the rest of the brand, and then say some social proof. So that's email number one. We're not trying too much. We're just giving them what they promised on their sign up form. But then if you look at the next emails, they're more about building brand and eventually building the sales. So for example, the next one's about our eco-friendly products in your family. Not really trying to push the sale here. We're going to tell them the sale exists, but it's more about brand building. So the next one, do parents really love us that much? Again, not trying to sell, just trying to put in social proof. So I'm actually slowly hitting away objections as well. The first objection was, do I want to buy something bad for my baby? No, we're eco-friendly, we're really good. Great, tick. You're in my mind. There's some social proof. And then after 2 emails of social proof, it's time for us to push the sale again. The clock's ticking. Can we increase some urgency in this sale to get going on? Is everything okay? That's just a very clickbaity subject line. And time is running out. If you notice, and you're gonna have to look at this corner over here, so this from section, we changed the sender name. So it starts off with Mum and You, which is the brand name, Mum and You, and then Mum and You. And then when it says, is everything okay? Rachel at Mum and You. Like Rachel's emailing you now. You haven't bought from us. What's going on? So you can have these little interesting tactics to get the click and get the open, where you can change the sender line as well, not even the subject line. So you can be really intelligent with how you want to mess things about or how you want to play with things. So this is an example of a welcome series. Let me even open, is everything okay? So it's not even a design image, it's just plain text. A little bit of copywriting, just something to get going. So in a welcome series, you're educating the customer about their brand, but you also want to keep that open rate high and that click-through rate high because they're very likely to buy from you. So you want to keep on moving let's say entertaining the user as they go through your journey and trying to keep them interested with what's going on. So going back to the flow, that's your welcome series. Now, if you were unlucky enough not to get the purchase in the welcome series, and I say unlucky enough, I think you can maybe get a 10% purchase rate on your welcome series. That's someone that's gone to a newsletter, that's signed up, that doesn't really want to buy yet. They can get hit in various other ways by emails. They're going to be getting weekly campaigns. So you can set up weekly campaigns that you edit every week and you manually do them. But if the customer happened to go on a product page and not add to cart, but we had their email, we would be able to send them a browser abandonment flow. So we say like, hey, look, I know you are viewing this product. Here's some more details about the product. And I'm not trying to sell them, I'm just trying to educate them at that point, because that consumer then is not ready to buy, but they're ready to be educated. So if I can find an example for you, that'll be awesome. Just give me 1 second. So here's browser abandonment. So when someone views your product, they've started checkout 0 times. They've only got to viewed. They haven't even added to cart 0 times. Thanks for stopping by. We're not really trying to push the sale. We're just trying to educate them. We saw you looking. They should be in the middle. Add item to basket. Probably on parents. Need some more convincing before you buy. What are your wipes made from? Are your products cruelty-free and vegan? How much is delivery? This is the objections that the consumer has. It might be questions that they have. We're able to hit them out one by one. And we're able to build some more brand with that as well. Now, these blocks, the reason why they're not appearing is because they're dynamic blocks. So depending on what they viewed, we show that product. So the relevancy of the email or the right message element of the email is really, really high in this because they have to show exactly what they want to look at. So again, if they haven't got to purchase point, maybe they view the product, maybe we have their email, we can do a browse abandonment. If they browse and then they add to cart, we can do a cart abandonment. We can say, look, I know you added to cart. Do you want to buy? And finally, we can go to checkout abandonment. So we cover like the whole funnel in these bottom 4 emails. And that's really useful because you can bring in new revenue this way. So this is like your new revenue arm. Now, say they purchase, you're now into the next arm, which is going to be retention revenue and upsell revenue. So retention revenue is like the first stage. If someone purchases your product, you say, thank you so much. That's amazing for purchasing my product. Here's how you use my product. You will get much better reviews. You will get much better customer satisfaction if you educate your consumer on how to buy. I had the best post-purchase flow for CBD where a customer would buy the CBD oil and I would spend the next 6 days before they got their oil telling them how to use it before it's even arrived. And the consumer, because they hadn't got their product, was willing to open my email every single day. They were like, the open rate was ridiculously high. They were opening my email and they were reading it and they were getting educated. And I had our customer service guy at the time, Rob, basically recording these videos that were on YouTube, talking people through how to take CBD oil as like an education series. So we treated the customers as if they had bought by accident. We educated them from 0 to 10. And then as a result, one, our reviews were so good because people were giving us reviews based on Rob's generic video and the product, as opposed to just the product by itself. So the chance of review was higher. 2, our customer service support team had less work to do because all the questions were already answered on email marketing. So having an amazing post-purchase flow or a customer thank you flow is really valuable, both for reducing your customer service time, but also encouraging and improving your customer's experience so that you get a positive review. So it's a really important flow to have. And then when you do an amazing job, you need to request the review. Like, yes, Trustpilot's running, that's great. Make sure Trustpilot set up its flow on this back end or have the integration set up so you can run it yourself. But you need to be requesting reviews. Maybe it depends on your product. eCom generally gets like 1 to 2%. So it's hard to get reviews in the eCom world. You got to like go for them all the time. Now, if your product is a replenishment item if it's something that gets used up over time, you have an amazing way to get more LTV. So you need to have a replenishment flow. So you need to estimate. Initially, you're guessing how long does it take a consumer to use my product in the ideal world. Add 20% onto that because you're probably going to be quite ambitious to what you think they do. And then send your replenishment emails plus or minus 1 week from that. I.e., say you have a refillable shampoo. You probably are finished by now. Do you want to refill your bottle? And then slowly give more offers. Now, if they purchase again from you, they're like a VIP. That's an amazing customer. The VIP customers, even though they're your best customers, you do not give them any more discounts. You stop discounting them straight away. This is kind of like the oxymoronic part of it. Your VIP customer will buy from you no matter what the discount is. Do not give them discounts or try to minimize their offers. Make their offers more about AOV or increasing the basket size, not about reducing your profit line, because this is where all your profit's made. So make them spend more, don't make them get better deals. So it's very important you know who your VIPs are. You treat them really well, but you don't give them money off because they will buy regardless. But finally, if you have someone that's bought once and then doesn't purchase again, something's gone wrong. Either they didn't like your product, they just didn't say it, or they just ran out of usage, they didn't need it anymore, which is completely fine both ways. You can still win that customer back by sending them a win back flow, which is again a bunch of emails saying, hey, look, we know you bought from us 3 months ago. Did you like the product? Did you not like the product? Would you like to buy again? Here's a heavy discount. Do you want to come back into the funnel? So you can offer that and you can see what happens. And this is the general basic email marketing flow. Now, that's the basic one. It goes a lot deeper very quickly. So if you're in eCom, you can screenshot this. In this one, I showed you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 flows. I would consider them to be like 10 core flows that are all explained over here. And then there are a bunch of advanced flows. And advanced flows only really are relevant when you either have a lot of products or you have a lot of volume going through your site. So if you have like a lot of volume, you can do predictive purchasing. You can predict when the customer's about to make the next purchase and then send them the email at the right time. If you have a lot of VIPs, you can make a VIP red carpet flow and treat them really well. You can even call up that customer, treat them really nicely on the phone call, and I guarantee you're going to get a review out of it. A UGC collection flow, again, if you like want to collect more photos and you want to use them in your ads, run an email and tell your customers, if you send a picture of yourself holding the product, I will give you £5 off in your bank account right now. That's a far better, cheaper way to get UGC than going to like platforms like Billo or playing or seeding with influencers, which are really expensive. This is a far cheaper way to do it. Category cross-sell, back in stock, low stock, price drops. And this whole setup, just the core flows, advanced flows, that can drive 20 to 30% online revenue very easily, just with a good setup. Cool. So that's email marketing from the eCom perspective. I now want to explain how that works in app and SaaS. So let me actually even copy over a diagram very quickly. Just give me one moment. If you have any questions about email marketing so far, feel free to drop them in and I will pick them up now actually. Or I'll save them for a little bit later. Okay, cool. So I'll share my screen very quickly. So this is like a Figma file we were working on this today. But let's somehow, actually not this, I'm gonna just screenshot it and put it onto PowerPoint. Apologies, guys. So that's there. Let me share my screen again. Cool. So this is another version of what SaaS could look like. And you'll notice very quickly that's actually a really similar workflow. Someone subscribes and then they get a welcome sequence. After their welcome sequence, they either do, if they do not sign up for their free trial in the SaaS world, you can give them regular offers, content, news, feature releases, etc. You can still nurture them. But if they do the free trial, so they say they go down this route, they say they sign up for a free trial on their freemium account, you can give them the free trial to paid onboarding sequence. So you can try to convince them or slowly nudge them in the way to purchasing. If they don't purchase, you give them a follow-up sequence. But if they do, that's great. They're now paying at this point. Can we upgrade them? If we upgrade them, can we take them to like an annual plan, for example? Or if they don't take the upgrade and they stop using the product, how do we increase their retention? So if you notice at the start of this flow over here, like let's say around this section over here, this is all new revenue I'm focused on, completely new revenue. As you go down this flow over here, you're going more into the retention flows. So retention focus sequences, reactivation or churn follow-up. And if you go the other way and you become a long-term user, I want to upsell you into an annual plan from a monthly plan. And I want to, again, attract the referral, the case study, the testimonial, the feedback. And so you'll notice that there's basically the exact same copy of what eCom was. It's just been copied into SaaS. So all the playbooks in eCom are really, really useful. And it's also why I think eCom people make for the best SaaS and app email marketers, because they're coming from a world where they had all the triggers lined up for them already. Like in eCom, the triggers are so obvious. It's like cart, checkout, browse abandonment, etc. It's like very clear, and that playbook is very well defined. When you go into SaaS, the playbook's not well defined anymore. The reason being is everyone has different use cases, everyone's got a different product. But if you take the framework, you know that you need to have an upgrade sequence. You know that you need to have a testimonial gathering sequence. So you put the sequences / flows in the right places, and you can design a really powerful money printing machine. So again, this just by itself can easily drive 20, 30% revenue, depending on your AOVs, LTVs. If you have a ridiculously heavy annual plan, you can make a lot of money this way through email. So I'm going to show you some examples of what SaaS emails look like, because it's definitely not what eCom looks like. So SaaS and generally is like heavy on text. So this is my Trustpilot email. I feel like Trustpilot takes so much of my money. It's ridiculous. So this is my success manager who sends me every year, gets like $1,000 out of me again. He didn't get my name right though, which is a bit of a shame, even though we went on a few calls. So it clearly is a flow, and I know it's a flow. So I hope you're having a good week. I wanted to let you know that your TP account is coming up for renewal. Like, that's great information. Timing, spot on. I'd like to have a call with you to set up your plans for next year so I can optimize the value. Please schedule some time in my calendar or let me know what times work for you. Okay, great. I understand. You're giving me a call to action. I'm the right person and it's the right time. He then offers me some module add-ons that I want to walk through. And then he tells me, if you want to cancel, you got to tell my support team now. Like, this is a really valuable email for me. I don't think he did the second line right. If there are any module add-ons, it should have been more like, if there are any ways to help you increase your review rate. I think that's the goal I want to get. But you're trying to sell me more packages. So it's very clearly very sales led. But this email could be improved a lot. So it could be a bit more focused on me and on my goals, i.e., do you want to increase your review request rate, for example? But otherwise, it's pretty decent. Another one is an onboarding flow. So I've been messing about, as an SEO agency, I have to mess about with AI and see what is the status on lots of tools. So I've been messing about with one called Byword. For context, I haven't found a good AI writing tool yet for long form content, but short form content is great. So this tool's called Byword.ai, and I got their sequence, and I'm like, great, this guy knows how to do email. So he's firstly got this really interesting sender name, Mac at Byword.ai. Great, he's personified the brand. Mac's now the guy I think about. The first email I got was this verify, welcome, plans. Okay, they all came 3 emails in one day is a bit too much, but I get it. I was signing up. Then it was an email a day, 25th, 26th, 27th. Then he waited 2 days, and then he waited 2 days again. So this is technically his onboarding flow. So I would technically be the customer who started the trial but didn't complete. So I'm getting the onboarding flow, try use my tool. And he did really good to create curiosity and intrigue with me. So if you notice his last 4 emails, they're very, very heavily based on objection handling. So he understands his customer is caring about Google. He understands his customer may want to operate a volume, i.e. quantity. He understands his customer may care about quality. And then he may understand his customer is evaluating other tools. He's done a really good job to understand what the objections are of the consumer. And he has created emails designed for that. So I screenshotted the last email I got from him. So it was Byword versus Jasper versus Copy AI. And great, really personified very well. And again, pure text. Yeah, I get it. There's a ton of AI writing tools out there. Put simply, Byword is very good at one thing. This is what we do. This is how we operate. If you want to do this, stay with us. If not, that's okay. So that was a really, really good onboarding flow, which I was quite impressed by. And then this is the demo sign up form that I have. So I have a Twitter account. And if someone signs up for the newsletter on Active Campaign, they get emails that are quite direct response and quite bottom funnel. So if they sign up for the landing page, they get an email with a case study asking, wait 7 days, another case study, another case study. So, hey, it's Alexi from New Optima. Here's your free case study about how we got X brand, X traffic. I'd love for you to be our next case study. If you want to take your business to the next level, schedule a call here. Let's have a chat. These emails, the ones that this one is you'll notice that it's going to be one of those emails where it's center aligned. So everyone knows it's kind of an automated email. I purposely designed my personal emails to look like it's a normal, someone sent from Gmail. People genuinely think this is a one-to-one email, and your response rate skyrockets, and so does your deliverability. There are 3 different ways to go. So 2 different ways. You can go heavy design, or you can go into the text style. And you want to create these specific flows. So again, feel free to screenshot this. It's basically going to be the same for apps as well, except in the app world, you have a few different tools. You're going to be using Braze, AppsFly, and you need to marry together your push notifications at the right time. So you want to be pushing more on push notifs or in-app notifs, but you also still want to be doing email, because I believe that a lot of people have now got to the point where they just swipe on the notifications and just close them. So hitting them up on a second platform, following the exact same flows that you have here, is really, really valuable. So in terms of the email advice, if you want to screenshot this as well, follow the rule of 1. 1 email, 1 message, 1 CTA. Don't overcomplicate it for the user. Make it very clear what the purpose of the email is and get them to the end goal. 2, personify the brand where you can. So in footers, I always had a photo of myself. On newsletters, or in the subject sender name, I add my name. 3, people get scared to send more emails. They're like, oh, should I do 2? I don't want to scare my customer off. Just send more emails. Like, just send more emails. Double the email flow. If your open rate gets trashed and you get put in spam, then you reduce your emails. But like, push to the limit, work out where the ceiling is, and then go down. Don't feel like you have to go down in advance. Technically, from like a data point of view, there's no real difference between a plain text email and an image heavy email. So you can do plain text. You can even do plain text for eCommerce. There are some brands that are really good at that, but they have to be very direct response. The next one is like take a 4-to-1 value to sales email ratio. I like for every 4 brand building emails you do 1 sales email. Think of that ratio is like you filling a cup of water. So you got to fill up the cup of water with your brand equity and your value. And then every month or every 3 weeks, you're allowed to pour all the water out and use it on sales to get the revenue, but you better tap it back up again. And then finally, the best emails, newsletters, the ones you like enjoying, always serve you before themselves. So serve the audience before yourself, and then you'll also make a lot of money there too. So there are 2 ways we can go. One, I can either answer some questions, or I'm happy to like build if I've got like a really interesting product, we can go on Miro together and we can build out your mock customer journey. And then we can work out what flows you would have at which points. So open the floor, feel free to put your questions in. And if you don't have any questions, you can put your website in and we can make out your customer journey flow live.
If you want, we can try with my product with our website.
Ooh, sounds cool. Let's do it. So let me just stop sharing my screen. So I've never done this before live. So it's always been like on like a 1-to-1 thing. So let me open Miro and we can have a go. So maybe, do you want to tell us about your product a little bit of detail?
Yes, of course. We are artificial intelligence software applied to dermatologists. So we have a B2B model where we sell our product to pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, or hospitals. And what we provide is a SaaS that gives support to diagnosis of skin pathologies and also like measures the severity of them.
Okay.
So that's
awesome. That's awesome. That's really cool. Okay, so let me
So yeah.
So let me just share my screen and then we can go into it. So I'll share your website now so I can ask you some questions before we get into it.
Okay, perfect.
Legit.health?
Yeah.
What a good name.
Wait,
okay, cool.
I will take my...
Okay, Legit.health is a revolutionary clinical data communication tool for next-gen dermatologists that triples the empowerment of patients. Cool. Okay, so who is your customer as the first question?
Our main customer is are the hospitals, because the solution that we provide solves mainly a problem that there are not sufficient practitioners in the world for all the population that we are actually right now. But our SaaS also has some features that are quite beneficial for pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies, but it's not our main target.
Okay, so your customer is hospitals, and they're the dermatologists inside the hospital, or who holds the buying power? What's the buying process like?
Yeah, this is quite difficult because the dermatologists are the ones that will buy our product, but they are super influencers. I mean, if they don't say yes, the CEO or the innovation manager of the hospital in this case, which are mostly the decision makers, won't say yes. So we always have to be persuading the dermatologists, and that's why we say we are the tool for dermatologists, because without their yes, we won't have the yes in the hospital.
Got you. Awesome. So your funnel is sort of educate the dermatologist to your offering, and then empower them to be the champion to get you the sale.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. And then how do you get dermatologists on your site? Like, are you running ads? What are you doing to get the traffic?
What we do is there is something that dermatologists have to do, which is to fill in measuring scales. When you have a skin disease, for example, you have psoriasis, they have to calculate something that it's called PASI, which is a scale in medicine that they have to fill in manually. We have, with our algorithms, we have automate this scale, and what we have made is a landing page of free use of this scale, so that with the keywords that they usually search in order to find like automatic scales, in order not to be tediously writing down, that's the way we mainly attract them. But what we also do is, for example, write scientific papers with them. Like, I don't know if you know what scientific papers are, but it's mainly, okay, well, we write scientific papers with them. And also what we do is they have normally like a high ego, and what they want to be, what we do is we have created our own page of webinars, and what we do is interviews with them in order like to say, like, let the people know how good they are, and that's like a good way in order to be their friends.
Amazing. This is really interesting. So there's a lot of education going on. You have like you're doing a lot of work on top funnel to get them in. This is a very B2B sale, I'm guessing, right? What's the value of this sale? Like, is it like, how much do you make if a dermatologist chooses to push you into the hospital?
It depends, but minimum, I don't know, between 30,000 on.
Cool, awesome, 30K plus. Okay, cool. So your one is going to be less about triggers, and it's less about, because it's more about educate the customer, and when they want to buy, they will come inbound to you and say, look, I'm ready to buy, and they will help you out.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, but there is a huge problem, because dermatologists also hate us.
Why does your customer hate you?
Because they believe that the artificial intelligence will quit their job. So as we do artificial intelligence, I mean, it seems that these actions are cool, but at the same time, they are like hating us most of the time. So it's like quite tough. For example, the Net Promoter Score, we have it with, we measure it with our customers, with the practitioners, which in this case are dermatologists, and with the patients that use the tool. And with the customers, which is the COO or innovation manager, is pretty high. With patients also, but with dermatologists, it's low. It's pretty bad.
Why is it bad? I'm very curious now. Is it bad because they're scared of AI, or they just don't think it's doing a good job?
I had the same question at the beginning, but they don't even try to use the tool once they have it in their hospital. I mean, they are like, I'm not going to use it, because
interesting.
It's like they have heard that and most of the telemedicine companies that they have been working with have added more work to their workflow. So they believe that ours, without knowing anything, would do the same. So that's why we do these things of the interviews and so on, in order to then make them a demo and show them how it won't. But it's quite tedious.
Okay. And then the final question is, I'm a bit confused now, and I think I know the answer. So the dermatologist championed you for the sale. They got you the sale, but they're scared to use it. So I'm assuming there's two different dermatologists in the room. There's like the one that champions it, and there's the guys that didn't champion it, that are now given a tool to use them, but they're just like being forced to use it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
And mostly it's more like, for example, I don't know if it's only the dermatologist that champions us. It's more the innovation manager and COO that wants to have us, because they see the value into the business of the hospital. But till the dermatologist, which is the one that will use the tool, don't say yes, they won't accede to implement it, because if they don't use it, they don't have anything to do. So
Yeah.
it's mainly like the innovation managers, COOs or CEOs of the company, yes, they want the tool quite easily, but then it depends on the dermatologist.
Yeah.
And mostly,
Cool. So I see 3 flows instantly just based on those objections.
okay.
And they're all 2 are welcome series and 1 is a retention flow.
Mm-hmm.
So your welcome series 1 would be, you need to, let's say there's 2 types of people that are coming onto your webinars and your tools right now. There's the dermatologists and there's the innovation managers or champions.
Mm-hmm.
So each one needs their own welcome. They need their own information that's tailored to them. The dermatologist needs information that's going to talk about what your tool does on a functional level. And the innovation manager needs what your tool does on a high level. They need to see, the innovation manager needs to see increased customer care, lower return rates, more money. But the dermatologist needs to see saves me time, is as accurate as me, will not, like, they need to see, they both need very different messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, your third flow, which is really interesting, is once you get buy-in and once you get bought, you need a retention flow. And I call it retention, but in this sense, it would be like a education flow. So I'll call it like other dermatologist education flow, other dermatologist education flow. So say the CEO wins and brings this tool on board, or the dermatologist winning, they get the tool on board. You have, say, maximum 2 or 3 people that want the tool, and you maybe have 10 that don't. You need to arm the 2 or 3 that have the tool with all the information, with all the power to go and educate the existing customers, so the existing stakeholders in the company, to make sure they use the tool. And you probably need to be involved there on a realistic, maybe in a physical, practical level, helping that transaction happen. So that firstly, the other dermatologists, once they get bought in, and this is going to be a very low traffic flow. This is going to be like the signups after purchase, let's say. You'll need to educate the other dermatologist, saying this tool your colleagues have bought in, it's really good, this is what it can do. And you need to act like you're making them buy again. You're basically convincing them to use, which is the same thing as making them buy. Instead of paying with their money, they're paying with time, because they've been forced to use this telemedicine tool, which they don't want to, because it's probably the 5th tool they've been jammed down their throat. So I would have 3 flows. In my eyes, it sort of goes, these 2 flows come together and they eventually form into the third flow when you get there. And in, let's say, flow 1 and flow 2, I would be just very heavy on education. I'm hitting down objections and I'm building social proof and goals and power. There's probably going to be a lot of campaigns in here, if you can think of it that way. Because you're going to have new things going on. You're going to have new campaigns, new webinars that you want to run, and you want to promote it to each of these audiences. So in another way, I've said flows, but these are also segments as well. Because there's 3 different, let's say, users in your journey. So that's like segment / flow 1, segment / flow 2, and then segment / flow 3. How does that sound? Does that sound like it could do the job?
Yeah, it could be. I have another question, and it's about in the case of dermatologists, for me, it's difficult to know the channels to reach them most of the times. Maybe in a national way in Spain, I have them more control. But when I go more abroad, it's quite difficult and complex for me, because there are quite a few, and all the campaigns have to be like really specific. So I was wondering if you had like a strategy in order to know the channels or something, like what do you do when you have this kind of issues?
Great question. My girlfriend's a doctor. I'll ask her to ask her dermatologist friends to let me know. I have no idea. I'll be completely honest. Unfortunately, where would you find dermatologists? No idea. In the UK, you've got to go through the NHS buying system. I heard it's quite painful. I know someone that was selling training equipment for cardiovascular surgeries.
Mhm.
And the way he got in was he was an ex-doctor. Okay, maybe you're not that, unfortunately, but he was like a 20 years experienced doctor. And he went to all the consultants he worked with, pitched them the tool, and they were the champions internally.
Mm.
And I think the consultants who are like senior doctors, say like 10-year, 15-year plus experience, have some sort of decision-making power when they get into their meetings where they get buy-in. So I think you basically just skip juniors, go straight to like the consultants and get buy-in the same way you do it there. Where you'd find them, I don't know. I think you'd need to get their emails and hustle. But I'm sure they get spammed with emails. I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you.
No worries. Ed, so I would love to hear more about your SaaS company.
Yeah. Yes. Well, actually, I just wanted to, because it must be very quiet with all of us here. I just wanted to let you know that to what you've just been doing there with Sarah works very much the same for us. I've got a quick, I'll get into it in a second. I've got a quick question for you along the same lines of how you find out and actually find these people in the first place. In your history, is it companies like ZoomInfo and Lusher where you find the actual names and address? I mean, do you have somewhere you're like, use these guys, they are the best?
It really depends on what data you're trying to get and who you're trying to get it on. So I'll give you an example. I know that getting data from like LinkedIn is like the easiest thing to do, basically speaking. If you wanted to get data on anyone, it's like super easy on LinkedIn, but you're very constrained. If you have to know the profile beforehand of who you want to go for, or if you don't know the profile, you need to make sure that LinkedIn has the filters such that you can get your profile out. And most of the time, the filters are good enough that you can like target your consumer. But I can tell you a really obvious example where the LinkedIn filters are horrible. I was running a webinar for e-commerce brands, and there is no e-commerce filter on LinkedIn, and it's like such a huge industry. And I was in shock because I couldn't run my ads on LinkedIn because I couldn't target them properly. So my CPA was like 300. My cost per lead for a webinar attendee was £200. I'm like, I've never seen that before in my life because I couldn't target and I couldn't scrape emails. When you get into niche things like this, where like LinkedIn can't serve you, you have to go to like the niche data providers, and you need to find them, and they're always different for different industries. So in e-commerce, there's a website called Store Leads, and I go to them.
Cool, because I work with retailers.
Perfect. So Store Leads is a good one. They will have a lot of emails there. If you want really high value e-commerce brands, like doing lots of revenue, it's probably far, and you only have to make like, I don't know, like 30, 40 sales because you're an enterprise. It's easier to pay for a community membership that costs 3 to 5K and network the shit out in the community, and you'll eventually get in someone. Okay. If it's worth the ACV.
All right. So thank you. So just to follow on from Sarah there, in agreement with AI. So what we are is we have conversational AI for retailers for the post-purchase. So the moment that you've bought something is usually the moment where the retailer hands you over to DHL, Every, or God forbid, Yodel. And the retailers lose the relationship with their customers, right? It gets handed over to them and it can be a terrible experience, and it's always the retailer that gets blamed. So what we have created is called post-purchase customer experience, is the general name for it within retailers, is an AI that works inside WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram, where people can still talk to the retailer and say, hey, crap, I'm not going to be in tomorrow. Can I have it on Tuesday instead? And we've got the linkages into DHL, Yodel, and all the others already. So it automates that. It happens in the background and goes, yeah, done, it's all fine. Or you go, I didn't like my yellow socks. And it goes, cool, you need to do returns. This is how you do the returns. And then we can generate the QR code that you take down to your news agents to print off the label. And it's all done inside WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. Problem is, for us, from an AI point of view, is, of course, what we're doing is absorbing around 80 to 85% of all of those questions that people ask. So all of those people in call centers, the contacts, so this is back to Sarah's point with a dermatologist. So all those people that want it are also often the heads of the teams that feel the AI is about to remove a significant proportion of them out, because in the end, unfortunately for a lot of those people, they are doing some of the simplest questions that there are. Where is my order? Right. So you ring Zara and say, where is my order? The person at the other end goes, what's the order number? And you faff around, you go and find it, you give it to them. And all they're doing is looking at the DHL website and putting your order number in it, which you could have done yourself. And then they go, it'll be with you tomorrow. And they know no more or less than your ID. So we automated all of that. So my problem in selling is I'm often selling to the same kind of people who really want it to reduce their costs, but it's also them that suffer from the AI.
Is it them though? I get your point, but is it them because, like, say you're selling into like the not CFO. That's the problem if you sell into customer experience, the customer service, that main guy. But if you sold to the person next to him or the person above him, can you not get away with that issue? Because that guy's more interested in costs, and he doesn't actually mind killing off the service agents, let's say.
Yeah. So we try, and I try and talk to everyone from CEOs down. But at some point or other, before they've bought it, they talk to the people who are going to have to implement it, and that's where we get stuck with pushback and stuff. But anyway, I wasn't looking for how you solve our entire business. It's a classic problem with the rise of AI. But I was really just turning around and saying that was fantastic to see the different types of people that you've got to go for, and the value that you've got to create before you get to the actual person who might buy it. They're also the person that knows that it might affect their team directly, and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't solve your business in 3 seconds. No, I'm joking. Unfortunately. I'll have a think about it though. It's an interesting one. I remember I was speaking to the head of growth at M&S, and he had installed a crazy AI suite like 2 years ago, and like digitally transformed everything. And I imagine at that point in time, he had a lot of vendors, and he just probably was like in buying mode. Yeah. But obviously he did that 2 years ago. There's just no way he has to do that again because of the input he put in there. But I can imagine that as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you so much everyone for attending. I'm going to ping over the slides and the recording. Ideally tomorrow, but most likely Monday. Feel free to view it. If you wanted me to come and do the same thing that I did with Sarah on call, and we just like work out what your model is and just like mess about, let's do it. Would love to work out with you guys. And I'll see you on the next webinar.